Welcome to Season 3 of The Breakdown, the official podcast of the Breakaway Roping Journal and calfroping.com. This season, we're diving into both the breakaway and calf roping like never before, bringing you the personalities, successes, and horses that make these events great.
You can expect training tips from the top ropers, stories from the road, and industry news that goes beyond the numbers.
I'm Taylor Vollen, your calf roping host.
And I'm Lillian Kent, your breakaway host.
And this is The Breakdown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Breakaway Breakdown. I'm your host, Lillian, and today we are diving into a really fun podcast about the 2024 Horse of the Year, Dutch. Now, Dutch belongs to Miss Josie Conner, and Josie is currently sitting number 2 in the world. If you do remember, a few weeks ago, we had a Horse of the Year predictions podcast, and everyone guessed pretty correctly that Dutch was going to receive the Horse of the Year title this year. He and Josie were pretty much on fire starting in summer, pulling a check every single week, and led the world for a little bit before Shelby Meged overtook them in the last weekend of the year at Sioux Falls. Dutch was incredibly consistent. I think I mentioned in the podcast that there are a handful of runs from different rodeos that you almost think are the same run because he just stops so consistently and effortlessly every single time. We also have to give some kudos to his rider, Josie, because I have said this before, she is one of the best spoken breakaway ropers in the game, and honestly just really effortless to talk to when it comes to interviews. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode, but first I need to give a little shout out to Purina for supporting today's episode. Purina has a feed finder program that'll let you find the perfect feed for your horse, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the break. But for now, it's time to rope. Let's go. Well, hello, Josie. Thanks for taking some time out of your weekend trip to the Rope and Fiesta to chat with us on the breakdown.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, we'll jump right in. The big reason we're chatting with you today, Mr. Dutch overwhelmingly won the Horse of the Year this year.
Yes, he sure did. We were super excited, and I'm super grateful to all the breakaway ropers who voted for him. I obviously think he's special, so I'm glad that other people do too.
Yeah, one thing that really stood out to me, even looking for photos for the podcast and the article that we're going to be putting up, is how consistent even he is between each photo from each run. Like I got a photo from Weatherford and I was like, oh wait, this looks just like Window Rock. And it's because he puts on a very similar run for you every single time.
Yes, ma'am. He's he's been so good for me all year, and I got to attribute all of my success to him because he put me in the position every time, and no horse is going to be perfect on every run, but he was pretty much as close to it as you can be, and if he wasn't perfect, to be honest, it was rider error. So I really can't fault him, and he's been so consistent for me, and I'm just really excited to have all this momentum with him and roll into my third in FBR.
Yeah, super exciting. Started first NFBR, won Resistol Rookie of the Year. Then we had last year kind of squeaked in as well. And then this year you really came out swinging and led the field for the latter half of the summer. And now you, like you said, you have some good momentum going into Vegas.
Yes, ma'am. I came out of the building slow with not a whole lot won, and then I had a pretty good spring. I got some money in California, and then did good over that Texas week, like the Weatherford, Window Rock. I know Window Rock's not Texas, but still, it's still that week.
Yeah.
Woodward, Coleman, that whole week, and then we kind of just hit June off running, and I was pulling checks every week, and there was one week there. There in the month of August, there was a stretch where Dutch and I won one rodeo per week the whole week. The whole month of August. So that was pretty cool. And then I took over the lead in the world standings at Ellensburg and the Ellensburg short round, and that's something that I'll remember forever. And those runs at Ellensburg, I don't know, I go back and watch them all the time. Dutch was perfect, and he was taking so much time out of the run. I think that's what he's really good at. He stops the clock so fast, and And then we held the lead all the way to the last day at Sioux Falls when Shelby and Onna passed us up. But, we're all pretty tight going into the NFR, and I think it's going to be good watching.
For sure. I remember talking with Martha earlier in the year, and she was really excited that there was going to basically just be a closer race this year. We've kind of had Shelby and Anna kind of ran away with it last year, and Martha was super dominant in 2022. Like you said, like we're all like neck and neck, shoulder to shoulder. The top like 8 or so of you guys are super tight going in.
Yes, ma'am. There was a couple of us that had a chance at Sioux Falls, really, that we could have ran away with the lead, myself being one of them. And Sioux Falls didn't go that way for me and any of the other ones that had a chance. And so I guess it all meant to be like that for a reason. And it's going to be a rope off for a gold buckle in December.
I know, I know. Well, and speaking of rope offs, you've been busy. You did the Kimes $1 million match roping against Sarah last weekend, and you came out on top there. Just kind of staying sharp and staying busy, I guess.
Yes, ma'am. The match opens are always fun. That was my 4th match open at the Oklahoma's Richest, and it's really cool that Chris gives us a chance to showcase the Breakaway Open matches. I'm pretty sure he's the only producer that really has Breakaway Open matches, so that was cool. And it's pretty much all about Dutch lately in my career, but it was really cool for me to get to bring Tonka over there and for him to help me get the match open title, because that is the horse that built me and gave me this career and helped me with all of that. So it was pretty cool that he had his moment too.
Yeah, we got to give some homage to Tonka for putting in the work. You rode him most of last year, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am. I rode him most of last year at the NFR last year as well, and haven't really rode him much this year. It's pretty hard to get off a Dutch, and Tonka's getting a little bit older, but I mean, he was so perfect for that, and he did his job every time.
Love it. Okay. So I kind of mentioned before we started, want to talk about kind of Dutch's origin story for everyone who doesn't know where he came from. Just kind of give us an inside look at the 2024 Horse of the Year.
Yes, ma'am. So Dutch is 16 years old this year, or coming 16, and his registered name is Stylish Drifter. He's been a tight on horse, pretty much, I'm pretty sure all of his career. Seth Hopper started him, trained him, and I don't know every aspect of Dutch's whole life, but my dad could probably tell you. I'm just not really all in the detail part of it most of the time. And but Kate Swore had him and rode him for a while in the tie down roping, and then Casey Buto had him, and people like Trevor Brazil and Tough Cooper rode him at certain times too. And then, so funny story is, we actually my dad actually sold Dutch for Casey Buto to a high school boy that tie down roped off of him, that tie down roped with us at the time. And I don't know, I was probably a freshman in high school or so when he got Dutch. And so when he got done, decided he didn't want to rope anymore. I bought Dutch from those people. And so I had Dutch my rookie year. That's what I rode most of my rookie year, which would have been 2022. And then last year a little bit, I got off of Dutch, which probably wasn't a smart decision, but I kind of think that sometimes everything happens for a reason. That's I think that the time off for him on the road, and it's probably why he is as good as he is today, because he really didn't get hauled a whole lot in 2023. Riley took him a little bit to California in April, and then I think he had him until Salt Lake City, which is July. So Dutch didn't get hauled too hard, because he wasn't the only horse that Riley had, and then he got to go home from basically July until I took him back in January. And then I started him off at Fort Worth. And ever since then, he got every single pro rodeo after Fort Worth, except I flew to Prescott and rode Cheyenne McCourtney's horse, because Dutch was leaving St. Paul and going to Calgary. But other than that, Dutch got them all. So
yeah, he made every single one that was physically possible for him to make.
Yes, he did.
Okay, and so as you mentioned, he was your horse throughout your rookie year. I know you rode him at Salt Lake. I remember there's just one photo you riding him without a tie down at Salt Lake. And then what made you switch to Tonka last year?
So my rookie year, he won 3rd in the Horse of the Year for my rookie year in 2022, and I made the NFR on him. And really, he was great all 10 runs at the NFR. I placed in several go rounds. But, coming in 15th in the world, and I don't even know if I think I finished 15th in the world too, my rookie year. I don't know. I just felt that I had so much more. And so I guess instead of blaming it on me, I just kind of blamed it on Dutch. And that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. But I got back to the NFR on Tonka last year, and he, like I said, he's just getting a little bit older, and really the pro rodeos aren't exactly his setup. He's been so good at the junior opens his whole life, and I just really think that's where he thrives. And so the pro rodeos were just a little bit harder for him. But that's when I was where I was going with it when I said I think everything happens for a reason, because I think that I needed to learn that I needed to do better, and that I needed to give ride better to put Dutch in better positions. And I really think that all came together this year. Kind of was a full circle moment. Um, I'm putting him in the positions. I'm doing my job a little better. He's doing his job a little better. He knows that his job is to leave the corner and run to the calf as fast as he can. And then, he's got the God-given ability that he can do that and still hit on his butt and break the rope fast. And so that's not something that you can teach or train. That's something that God gave him. And, I'm really blessed to have Dutch. And yeah.
Yeah, he's a special guy. Well, and it's going back to what you said about it was you wanted to put it on Dutch, but it was probably more you. Isn't that all part of the growth thing, right? Like we all get in our heads and we want to play the blame game, and sometimes the answer is right in front of us and we just don't want to admit it.
Yes, 100%. And it's not that he even did bad. I just broke a lot of barriers my rookie year. I broke a lot of barriers for big checks, and it's hard. It just makes you get in your head because you want those $7,000 to $10,000 checks because they don't come very often. And so but I just think that was the whole deal. Me coming out of the junior opens, the 3 foot under, roping smaller calves a lot, then going out to the pro rodeos where it's majority two under and big outdoor arenas. We rope big, strong calves. It just was a whole different ball game, and I just needed to learn and grow, and that's where we are now.
Yeah. So, talk to me if someone was gonna like be Josie Conner for a moment, be Josie Conner for like a outdoor rodeo run and ride Dutch. What does riding him feel like that's different from other breakaway horses?
I think he's the most talented horse I've ever ridden. But more specifically, I think that he fits me. I think that we just fit each other. Honestly, Dutch can get a little tight at times. I mean, people have seen it. He breaks the rope extremely fast, so there's a fine line. I can't get on to him. That's what he's great at, is he breaks the rope so fast. And so, an outdoor rodeo this year, once Dutch and I figured out the start, I just had so much confidence because I knew I could give the calf not guess the start, give the exact start I wanted, and he was going to catch him. And then he was going to, if as long as the rope went around the neck, he was going to make up all the time. And no one else really has ridden Dutch besides me, so I don't know what he would do with someone else breakaway wise. I would like to think he would be good, but Dutch is definitely a horse that if you're making mistakes as a rider, he's going to show it. 100% he's going to show it. Actually, this is funny. The first run back after they announced Horse of the Year, I went to the Oklahoma's Richest, and I wasn't feeling very good, which is not really an excuse, but I kind of came across the line to the back of the saddle and made a move to the front, and Dutch said, you're supposed to throw it there. And he stopped and left me swinging it. And I just was like, that just goes to show that, well, first of all, we're fresh off the Horse of the Year. Maybe his head got a little big. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just rider error. He is not completely automatic. And so if you don't do what you're supposed to do, he's gonna show it. So
yeah, you two are, it's like a really finely tuned race car or something. Like it looks really great if it's all going right, and then if you put an amateur or even just a different driver in the seat, it's gonna look weird and it's gonna look wrong and it's not gonna go right.
Or sometimes me on my bad days.
Oh, well, you said you were sick, weren't you?
Yeah, I just wasn't feeling very good. Actually, the only 2 times he's he's ever gotten super tight with me like that. I've been sick, so I don't know. That's weird. My dad and I were talking about that the other day. He was like, the last time he left you swinging it, you were throwing up and sick. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So I don't know. Maybe I wasn't trying my hardest, but
So I can't decide if we should either hide you away or expose you to every pathogen known to man before Vegas. Like we have two options here.
golly, no, I usually go into Vegas fine. I just leave Vegas sick, but it'll be fine. I'm not going rope anywhere after Vegas, so.
We're going to take a quick break from today's episode to tell you about our sponsor, Purina. Confidently address your horse's unique weight needs and help optimize their overall well-being with research-proven Purina animal nutrition feeds, designed by passionate equine nutritionists. Partner with Purina to nourish your horse to their optimal body condition. Explore weight management resources for your horse today at purinamills.com/feed-finder. Special thanks again to Purina for supporting today's episode of The Breakdown. So I'm sure there are people out there wondering, what gear do you use on Dutch? I want to hear about the bits. I want to hear about the head stalls, tie downs, all the fun stuff.
You know, he rides 5-star saddle pads and boots. They're, gosh, 5-star makes such a good saddle pad, and so I'm so lucky to have them on my team. And then I ride beach saddles. Dutch is currently in a beach, and he has just a rawhide tie down, just a regular rawhide tie down. And I predominantly rode one bit on him this summer. It's a Carrie Kelly. It's a really wide port. Honestly, it's an odd looking bit. I could get you a picture so you could put it up there. I'm not very good at explaining bits, but it's a wide port. I rode it on him predominantly, and I also have a Josh O&B correction with rings that I would ride on him sometimes, like if I had like a really slow calf or the start was really slow, just because it's kind of a bigger bit and it's a little bit extra. But predominantly I just ride the Carrie Kelly port, and I've pretty much had it on him since January. So
Nice.
that's what Dutch gets. Yeah.
And is there any breaks in the port, or is it just solid?
No, it's a solid port. No brakes, doesn't move at all.
Okay, and it's just smooth, no twist or anything?
Yeah, they have the little balls on the side, so there's a little break where it meets the shank, but there's no break in the actual port.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And are you a chain curb strap kind of gal, or do you do the leather?
Yes, it's a chain
Okay.
curb chain.
Okay. It's so interesting to see how everyone customizes their rig for their own horse.
Yes, really, honestly, that is my dad and Riley's department. I just ride whatever they tell me to ride, and if I don't like the way it feels, I'm like, we got to try something else. But they come up with all the bit and tie down concoctions.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Is Riley have like this huge array of head stalls and everything in his trailer?
Yes, head stalls, bits, tie downs. We've got pretty much, if there's a contraption or a bit, we've got it 100%.
Amazing. So let's talk about, you kind of gave us a little overview of this summer. Are there any runs that kind of come to your mind of you and Dutch together that really stick out to you as memorable for either, you mentioned Ellensburg, or maybe you really nailed a run and you were like, man, that's it. That's like the run that I want to remember for the rest of my life.
One run that felt really cool, like happening, was my second round at Caldwell. I was 2-3 and won the second round. I think I was 2-6 or 2-5 in the first round, placed in the first round, and then came back to the perfs. And I kind of had a stronger calf that maybe Maddie Dearman was like 2-8 or 2-6 on or something. And I pinged the barrier in the perfs, and Dutch was really running. I think he was expecting me to throw it right there. And then when he saw it come by his eye, like, he just really slides really cool and showy, like off to the right, which is, he's usually, anticipating the throw. So like, it was kind of a different feel than what he usually feels, because he was, just like a touch behind it. And, that's a really cool run. like it sticks in my brain the way it felt. But the run that sticks out to me the most is the Ellensburg short round. Number one, that's just a memorable run for me because it is when I took over the lead in the world standings. But I had a calf that was going really hard. I knew he was going to go hard to the right, and honestly, it was probably a risky throw, being high call in the short round. But I knew I needed to get him when he was going right, and it just was such a cool feel. And I don't know, it's just something that I'll remember forever.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And I want to kind of zoom in on talking about the way he stops too, because he stops like a futurity horse. He stops like a horse that you would want to score. Um, and there's horses in the rodeo that hit on their front end and that breaks off the rope fast. There's horses that slide on their butts and that breaks the rope off fast. I mean, we could probably sit here and have this like big philosophical conversation about what breaks the rope off fast enough, and people could get all opinionated and everybody has an opinion about it. But Dutch has this very I don't want to say classic, but I would say like futurity style stop.
Yeah, so what I think Dutch does that is irreplaceable is I think that he has an ability to run to a spot. Like he runs to a spot on the calf, and then when he gets to that spot, he doesn't he holds separation right there in that spot. And I think that's what breaks the rope off so fast, because he runs so low and so cowy, and when he gets to that spot, he's anticipating it, and then he gets on his butt and slides and has a really cool honestly, his stop is as cool as I've ever felt, because it is so time effective. But I think that if Dutch had any type of front end to his stop, a lot of the times it wouldn't work for me throwing there, because he does hold him out, spots him out a little far. So when he does hit on his butt, it just allows the rope to carry a little bit. And I think that when horses get down on their front end, it stops the momentum of your loop, and your loop starts closing. So I think that if Dutch held there and hit on his front end, it would be a whole different ball game. But and I don't even think that's something, like I was saying earlier, I don't even think that's something that you teach or you train. I think that's something that God gave him, and God, I'm so glad he has it, because I do think, like, there are multiple times this summer where I had calves behind really good ropers on good horses, and I would get them by a couple tenths, and I think it's because of Dutch and the way that he runs, and he closes the gap so fast, like I said, then holds that spot, and then he's able to pinch the rope off.
Mm-hmm. So, when are you gonna clone him? Is what I'm wondering.
I don't really know about any of that stuff, but I would love to have his clone if someone wants to clone him. I'm not really into that, but God,
You're like clone for you, clone for me.
No, Dutch is just gonna stay for me. I'm not gonna share him. But golly, he's so special, and I'm so glad that I have him, and I think that he may be my once in a lifetime horse. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're like savoring him now, and you definitely sounds like you're very much aware that he is so special, and that he very well may be your once in a lifetime horse, but gosh dang, you're going to enjoy him while you got him.
I'm gonna enjoy him while I got him. When Dutch retires, I might retire too.
I doubt that. I don't know if Riley would let you.
Maybe he'll just last for a long time.
Yes. Well, I mean, we've got so many like supplements and procedures and everything. You can really keep a horse healthy for a long time now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is true.
Oh, and speaking of health, I know you rode Tonka at Oklahoma's Richest. What are you doing to keep Dutch happy, healthy, and ready for Vegas in December?
Oh, he's happy and healthy all the time. It doesn't matter if it's just going into Vegas or not. And then they get alfalfa twice a day. They get Previcox, they get MVP, and they get routine injections twice a year. And I've got a really great horseshoer that also helps keep them sound. And other than that, that's all they get. I mean, they do get pampered. They get all the Vetericyn products. They get back on track rats. So Dutch is like bubble wrapped at my house, and he has at least 50 bags of shavings in his stall at all times. So Dutch is bubble wrapped, but man, he's really an easy horse. He's an easy keeper, and we I hope everything goes as planned, and he's sound and ready to roll into Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. So, going into Vegas, will you just keep him exercised? Will you be scoring? Will you be making practice runs? Kind of tell me what you and Dutch in particular will be doing before Vegas.
Dutch's routine pretty at home is pretty much he gets exercised every day, long trotted, and then some days, I like to score on him a bunch too. And if I do rope on him, I run one, maybe two, and it's never for me. It's always making sure he's standing flat, ready to leave when I want him to leave, and when it's time to leave, he's running as fast as he can off the corner to the calf. And then most of the time I'll hold the throw, and sometimes I don't even throw. Every once in a while I'll kick him out of it, just kind of take him to the back. Or he does this thing at home where he thinks that he's a reiner horse and is so like he is the opposite of what he is at the rodeo. He he slides for miles, I feel like, and off to the right because I've worked him so much at home. And so yeah, that's I never does Dutch see a rodeo throw at the house because he doesn't need to. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we'll plan on. That's what we'll plan on doing too before the finals. And I've been trying to take him to a couple good, like he came to the Oklahoma's Richest, to the $1,000,000 breakaway qualifier. He came to the Roping Fiesta out here, and then he'll come with me to the Phoenix Hondo Rodeo. So we'll get some competition runs before Vegas, and then he'll also go to Scottsdale for all 10 for the $1,000,000 qualifier. And so
Okay.
we'll get some real Vegas practice right at Scottsdale too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a good mix of competition runs and then just keeping him exercised and make sure he's running.
Yeah. Well, you talking about y'all's practice at home is just such a great reminder that the good ones, you don't need to be doing the practice for you on, which when I first heard that coming into the breakaway space, I was like, what? Like, but you need practice. You need to practice. You're a team. But then the more and more I go, I'm realizing no, you need your practice horse or two or three, and then you need your really good rodeo horse. I say you need. It's
Yeah.
nice if you can have.
Yes, 100%. It's funny that you say that because I just bought Jordy the bay mare that Jordy Edens rode at the NFR, Judy, and so I'm really excited about that. To I have her in addition to my team, and like you were saying, you don't need to make the practice runs on the good horses, but like when I first get a horse like that, I will make rodeo runs, one or two a day. Not that Judy needs it, just so we build our partnership before we go anywhere. And then I'm sure once Judy and I get connected on that partnership level, she probably won't get him as much. Like Dutch doesn't get him because he knows his job and he knows what he's supposed to do at the rodeo. And it's not like he needs to practice and stop at the house anyway, or practice stopping at the house anyway. So, it's just funny, through the different stages of you and your horse's relationship, sometimes the needs change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, the scenarios and what the best move is and the training programs and the feeding programs. I mean, it's endless what you could discuss when it comes to horse care and the best way to manage them, but it's all super interesting.
Yes, 100%. Everybody does it different, but you just got to find what works for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think that's about all I have about Mr. Dutch. Is there anything that you want to add in there? Maybe his favorite habits or his favorite cookies or
No, I think that's about it. Dutch likes anything he can eat, so it doesn't really matter to him. But guy, he's just such a blessing, and thanks to everyone who played a part in his life before me. It's been fun to have him, and I hope our story continues.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I am so excited to get to watch you guys. Definitely a dynamic team. You can definitely tell you're on the same page every time you back into the box. So super excited for you guys. And hopefully we'll be chatting again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Catch you later.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Well, that was another fantastic interview with one of our many talented breakaway ropers. It is just getting me more and more excited for the NFBR, and I cannot wait to see all the girls and all the fans' faces there at the South Point. Special thanks again to today's episode sponsor, Purina, and their Feed Finder program. You can go on their website and fill out their Feed Finder quiz to find the perfect Purina feed for your horse. All right, guys, I will catch you next time on The Breakdown.